You put your phone face down, but a minute later you check your messages again. The evening was free until someone else's reply began deciding whether it would be good or empty. Now you'll see how waiting for love quietly takes away life's right to happen today. The problem doesn't begin with wanting to be close to someone. It begins when a relationship is given too big a job to confirm your worth, soothe your anxiety, and make ordinary days feel worthwhile again. The first sign is simple. You aren't just waiting for someone. You are putting yourself off. You don't buy a ticket because a date might come up. You don't make your home your own because it feels like a temporary version of life. You don't enjoy a quiet evening because you call it a failed one. You can regain your footing before that reply ever arrives. The idea of a proper life rarely sounds like an order. It comes through kind questions at the family table, photos of acquaintances, coworkers' jokes, and the phrase, "So, when is everything finally going to fall into place?" Little by little, fall into place starts to mean only one thing: work, friendship, health, interests, and the ability to get through a hard day all seem to remain a draft until a partner appears. Because of this, being single is seen not as a circumstance, but as evidence. Something must be wrong with me. After a breakup, you may want to find someone new quickly, not only because you miss closeness. You want to undo an unpleasant conclusion about yourself. Then, a date becomes an interview for the right to feel normal again, and every silence in a text thread becomes a judgment on your whole self. Love truly matters. Closeness can support you, expand your life, bring joy, and create a sense of home. But it cannot do the work a person hesitates to claim as their own. Noticing their needs, choosing a life that fits, tolerating rejection, and building self-respect. What changes when you stop expecting a relationship to provide final proof that your life already has value? First, it helps to see exactly what job you have assigned to a relationship. For one person, it is permission to relax. With a partner, they can finally stop being strong. For another, it is proof of attractiveness. For a third, it is the promise that weekends will never be empty again. The desire itself is understandable. The burden appears when one kind of closeness is expected to replace friendship, interest in meaningful work, physical well-being, a sense of belonging, and respect for your own decisions. No one can carry such a role without consequences for both people. Then, choosing a partner changes. You look not only at whether you feel safe together, whether your values align, and whether you can talk honestly. Another question becomes much louder. Will they choose me? That makes it easy to miss coldness, inconsistency, or disrespect. Even faint interest can feel like rescue, because rejection would return you to a frightening version of yourself, the person nobody loves. The urgent need to confirm your worth lowers your standards at precisely the moment when you need clarity. Imagine an ordinary evening after a third date. They said they would text, but by 9 o'clock there is no message. Dinner is getting cold on the table, a work file is open, and a friend has sent a voice note. You don't listen to anything or begin anything. You reread the last exchange, change the wording of your message, and check whether they have been online. The mistake is not one extra glance at the screen. Over 2 hours, you have handed a stranger the right to determine your mood, your attractiveness, and the quality of the entire evening. If they reply, the tension will ease for a while. If they don't, the inner verdict will feel proven. This is how a vicious circle forms. The fewer sources of support remain outside a romantic relationship, the more expensive each signal from it becomes. The more expensive the signal, the more checking, rushed messages, compromises, and attempts to guess another person's mood. Relationships that were meant to bring freedom become a place of constant testing, and closeness begins to seem hopeless. Not because you are incapable of love, but because it has to carry too much. There is another trap, believing that the right person will spare you from facing yourself. With them, it may seem that you will no longer need to decide how you want to live, whom you want to be friends with, what job you can no longer tolerate, or where your boundaries lie. But a good partnership does not cancel these questions. It makes them more visible. Love can support you in a hard conversation but it will not have it for you. It can remind you of your worth, but it will not build everyday self-respect out of the actions you avoid. That is why recovery after a breakup is delayed when all your energy goes into finding a replacement. Pain takes time, but alongside it, you have to reclaim the parts of life that were quietly given over to the relationship. Whom did you stop calling? What did you postpone because your partner was not interested? Which evenings did you forget how to plan for yourself? These questions do not diminish past love. They show the real scale of the loss and the real scale of what can be reclaimed. An important shift happens when love stops being only something another person grants or takes away. It can also be seen in how you treat yourself on an ordinary day. It is more reliable to recognize it through concrete loyalty than through enthusiastic words in the mirror. Refusing humiliation for the sake of someone's presence, letting your body rest, ending a conversation after which you have to pull yourself together, asking for help, keeping a promise you made to yourself. These are quiet actions, which is exactly why they are easier to trust. This way of treating yourself does not make a partner unnecessary or turn independence into a competition. You can still want closeness, miss someone, meet people, and feel the pain of rejection. The difference is what is at stake. Someone else's yes brings joy, but it does not create you from scratch. Someone else's no hurts, but it does not take away your right to a decent day, work, friendship, and plans. Now the quality of a relationship matters more than its ability to drown out the fear of loneliness. This is where equally valuable sources of warmth become visible. A conversation in which someone remembers you without being asked. Work that leaves you tired and satisfied. A home arranged around your real life. Caring for your parents, a walk with your nephew, a team where you can be useful, a skill that grows slowly and honestly. They do not replace romantic love. They do not need to replace it. Together, they do not let one absence declare your whole life empty. But understanding this is easier than changing a familiar evening. The old script starts quickly. Check who wrote, imagine a future date, agree to something inconvenient just so you do not lose the chance. So you need to regain your footing at the very moment you want to hand another person the decision about how you feel again. How can you do this without performative self-sufficiency and without forbidding yourself to want love? In the next moment of waiting, ask yourself one question. What am I putting off right now, while another person decides whether my day is worth continuing? Do not ask why you are dependent on a message again. That question quickly turns into an accusation. Look for an observable action. Dinner has not been started, the task has not been opened, the walk was canceled, you have not answered a friend, a decision has been postponed. Then reclaim just one of these actions. You do not need to become happy immediately or prove that you need no one. Put your phone on the charger in another room and make yourself food. Send the file you promised. Buy a ticket to something that genuinely interests you. Answer the person whose attention you do not have to earn. You are not getting rid of the wish to receive a message. You are stopping paying for it with your whole evening. The check will take 10 minutes. After the action you choose, note not your mood, but the fact. Is the day moving again, or is it still standing and waiting? Even if the longing remains, you will have evidence of your own reliability. You managed not to abandon yourself at the moment you wanted validation from outside. This is a sturdier form of care than trying to convince yourself that everything is wonderful. Within a day, add a second question. What task do I most often assign to relationships? The answer should be practical and specific. For example, filling weekends, confirming attractiveness, giving yourself permission to rest, making decisions for two, saving you from uncomfortable conversations. Then find one more source of the same support. It will be an additional source of support, not a replacement for a partner. An arrangement with a friend, an independent plan for Saturday, a consultation with a professional, a review of your workload, an honest no. If next time you spend an hour in a text thread again, the practice has not failed. Notice the moment you come to and give yourself back the remaining 20 minutes. Your footing does not grow out of perfect behavior. It grows by shortening the time you spend away from your own life. Wanting love does not make you weak, but life becomes fragile when only a relationship is expected to confirm that you are okay. Then every reply becomes a verdict, a solitary evening becomes a defeat, and an unsuitable person gets too much power simply because they agreed to stay. Your task is not to stop needing people. It is not to appoint one person as the only source of warmth, meaning, and peace. The more real connections, pursuits, decisions, and ways of caring for yourself you have in your life, the more honest romantic choice becomes. You can move closer out of interest and tenderness, not out of the need to urgently fill an emptiness. You can leave a place where presence has to be bought by abandoning yourself. This will help in a very ordinary moment. A message is delayed again, an acquaintance asks an awkward question, or a day off comes with no plans. Before, such an episode might have seemed like proof that real life had not started yet. Now it can become a place for a different decision. Do not argue with your longing, but continue the day with an action that preserves your self-respect. Love has an important place in life. It just does not need to occupy all the other places to be real.